Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and welcome to another live session of our VS Code stream. My name is Ronald Dolph. I'll be your host for this stream, and I don't want to waste any time. I want to go ahead and say that we have like a great show and bring up our guest right away, Ayan Gupta. Ayan, how you doing?
Doing good, Reynold. How about you?
I'm doing great. Um, so I let's just jump right into it. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be seeing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ian. I'm based here in Redmond, Washington. So as some of you may know, that's Microsoft HQ. Currently, I'm working from home and it's raining outside, but I'll try to keep the energy going.
Okay.
I'm a cloud advocate on the Java cloud advocacy team. And today we're going to be talking about a new tool that makes your life easier when it comes to upgrading, migrating, and deploying your application to Azure. So essentially, everything you do after you create your application. So
Nice.
hopefully, it'll be fun and interesting. Um,
And it's not specific to Java, right?
I'm going to be showing you in Java today, but the tool is also available in .NET currently.
Okay. And what is the tool called?
It's called GitHub Copilot at Modernization. So you can find it in the VS Code um, extensions library.
All right.
And I'll actually start by telling you a little bit about it. I have a few slides, a teaser video, just to get things rolling a little bit.
Sure.
So hopefully you all can hear me. If you can't, put in the comments. We'll work it out as we go.
Perfect. Let's do it. And JC is in the comments right now. First one there. He's like, let's go. Let's do this.
Love the energy.
So,
Right.
oh, this is a slide with animation. Nice. Okay. So this is a quick promo for the extension.
Yes, essentially everything we'll be doing. So it's a little teaser to get people excited.
Is this slide available uh, somewhere we could just tell them to take a look also?
Sorry, what were you saying, Randall? I couldn't hear you over the music.
Oh, sorry. I was saying, is this slide available somewhere?
Yes, so we have some links in the description of this video. They should be linked down there, as
Okay.
well as the extension itself. If you wanted to download it, play around with it, it should all be in the description of the video.
All right. All right.
Yes.
Cool. Let's go.
Oops. All right. So why does this tool exist? So there's some challenges with cloud transformation, as many of you savvy developers would know. There's three main things. There's the technology. 60% of organizations say that legacy complexity is the top barrier to modernization. It's not just about new tech, it's about the entire application estate. Then 78% of respondees said that lack of cloud expertise or resources is a major obstacle. Modernization means transforming skills and processes, not just migrating tools. And in a world that we're currently living in, it seems like every year you would need to upskill a workforce. It's constantly changing. I feel like I'm learning more on the job on a week to week, a month to month basis than I did in college, really. It's moving
Okay.
so fast. And then people, 85% fail to meet initial migration timelines. The success of a migration requires alignment across IT, development, developers, data, security teams. And it's really funny because recently I saw a report where something like only 1% of big infrastructure projects around the world are actually completed on time. And when I say big infrastructure, I'm talking about like bridges, dams, skyscrapers. And
Hmm.
I was really curious as to why that's the case. I mean, would you happen to have an idea? Do you want to take a guess at why is that the case that they only 1% finish on time?
I mean, I would imagine just like old school technology and a lot of bureaucracy when it comes to building infrastructures.
Yeah, so that's definitely part of it. But the thing is that that is the part they can anticipate, because that's there for even smaller projects or even building a house, for example, which there literally hundreds and millions of. But
Hmm.
when it comes to big projects, all of them are so different and they have such minute complexities which they cannot predict. They have no data that helps them estimate costs or where the barriers might be. And it really reminded me of this problem statement that migrating, upgrading your application is literally like that. No upgrade, no migration, no deployment is exactly the same. They're all different and it makes it really hard to predict. And
Yeah.
that's what makes it a challenging problem to begin with.
Interesting. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully that analogy helps a little bit. I thought it was really cool, the connection once it popped into my mind.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, so there are three main pillars when it comes to migrating and modernizing with AI. There's streamlining data to seamlessly integrate with AI models. So that means to unify and prep data for AI, governance, quality, vectorization. Some services on Azure would be like Microsoft Fabric, Azure Databricks, Cosmos DB, Azure AI Search, the list goes on. Then the second pillar is modernizing applications to innovate and to build intelligent apps, to move from platform as a service to serverless to containers, adopt CI/CD and API first patterns. And some services on Azure which support this or which you would use for this process are like Azure App Service, AKS, container apps. Again, the list goes on, or even GitHub Actions and Copilot. And then
Okay.
finally, there's simplify operations um, with fully managed services and observability. So that means to offload undifferentiated ops, instrument everything, logs, traces, metrics. Um, it comes into maintenance mode essentially, and how to keep things going simply and easily. So for that, we have Azure Monitor, Application Insights, Log Analytics, so on. So you might be saying, why am I sharing all of this? How does it matter? So this is the full Azure cloud platform, everything from developer tools to app services, databases, security, and AI. And what's important here is that GitHub shows up across layers as a developer tool for security, and with GitHub Copilot for Azure. So GitHub isn't just like source control anymore. It's central to how we modernize apps and bring AI into development. And it just doesn't live inside your IDE anymore. It's a whole family of specialized agents that speed up development, modernization, and operations. And it's truly becoming a real teammate. If you haven't already played around with Copilot, you'll start to see how that's true. It's true across the whole software lifecycle. With GitHub models, every developer like you has access to models that they can fine tune inside GitHub. GitHub Copilot goes further, especially with agent mode, my favorite mode. I think I live inside of agent mode. I sometimes ask questions, but I'm like, just do it. um, and now we have this app modernization tool to accelerate upgrades and deployments and modernization in .NET and Java. So this is a little bit about how the workflow works. It's taking what AI already does best, and we're just giving it a little bit more direction, so it's able to complete the task with greater efficiency and accuracy. So it looks at your application, it looks at your code, it looks at your repository, it assesses it, right? So it follows the same steps that a human would. It
Hmm.
looks at what does this application do? What am I getting myself into? It assesses it. It gives an assessment report of everything that needs to be done, whether it's Java upgrades, migrations from a different cloud provider to Azure. And then as a developer, we use the help of Copilot to upgrade. And we'll get into a demo where I'll show you how easy it is to actually upgrade now with the help of this new Copilot assistant.
Okay.
And then migrate, test and deploy, and the cycle continues. So
Now,
mm,
this extension that you're going to be demoing uh, for us, it it uses it uses AI, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's built on Copilot, GitHub Copilot agent mode. So it's an extension, so it fits right into VS Code. Um, it just like you would use Copilot, except now it's calling a specific tool, set of MCP tools, which make it easier to do all of these things manually. I mean, on Copilot, you can tell it, hey, can you look at my application and tell me everything I need to do to upgrade the Java version and move it over from Google Cloud to Azure. Um, but again, it's a lot of variables that are in play because you can type in the prompt differently. It might scan different contexts. So again, we've given the AI more direction, so you have a more expected outcome every time, regardless of the application, regardless of the person using it.
Okay. Yeah. So at first, I was thinking it was something that we use Copilot with this extension, but it is like you built it together.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, and then that's the cool thing about the GitHub ecosystem at this point. It's like you can't tell the difference. It's like using the same tool, the same thing. You don't need to learn anything new really. It's quite literally as easy as clicking a few buttons. And I know it sounds too good to be true, and I thought it was too good to be true when they were telling me about this extension, but it truly is. And if all goes well today, we'll see that side of it. Of course, in coding and tech, things can also go astray. So
All right.
I don't
Cool.
think that'll be the case, but it'll be a fun time regardless.
Yes.
So for those of you who love to get more into the nitty gritty, this is a more detailed workflow. Feel free to scan it if you have super reading, take a screenshot. But again, I want to jump to the demo because that's the most interesting part that everybody hopefully is here to see. So I'm going to go ahead and do some switching. There's too many monitors and tabs, so I'm going to stop sharing, pull up the demo, and hopefully we can dive into that in just 7 seconds or less.
Perfect. So in the meanwhile, while we're waiting, let me just ask you, like, just in general, what's the most surprising thing that Copilot has helped you with, like that stands out?
So you wouldn't believe it. I was one of the first Copilot, GitHub Copilot users back when I was in college. So as you
Oh,
can probably tell, I'm quite young. I was using Copilot back when no one even really knew about it. I would go into TA office hours and they'd be like, "How did you code so fast?" Um, so I have like it's really changed the way I learn to code and learn to get things done. I have in high school I learned coding the, if we want to call it the old fashioned way. The old fashioned way, I would write code on paper, but I haven't looked back since.
on paper,
Yeah,
like literally on paper? Like even
on
I didn't
paper,
do that.
yeah, like, we would have to write code on paper because they're like, "You gotta, like, memorize everything. This is how you do it. These are classes, functions." Like, we would write code on paper.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's actually a good way to force yourself to think logically instead of just being dependent on just typing it in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was a good exercise, and I'm grateful for it. It gave me a good foundation to work off of, but it felt like warp speed. Life changed as soon as I got hands on this tool. Um, and it made it
So
so much easier to just think alongside Copilot. I mean, back then it wasn't as good as it is now. It was more of a line by line uh,
yeah,
generation
with the
tool.
ghost text.
Exactly. Um, yeah, I don't know if that exactly answered your question. I got a little excited there.
Yeah, no, no, I get it. I mean, I could see like why, like when you first encountered it, that was like the moment where it was like the most surprising to you because it's brand new. But so for this tool right here, what would you say to like someone that's new to programming, someone that's or even a non-developer,
Mhm.
like one sentence, how would you describe this app monetization to them?
Uh, hmm. one sentence. You've given me a few words to work with. I would say take a process that would typically take a team of developer months and do it in a single afternoon at your desk, either by yourself or with yourself and a cup of coffee.
All right.
Yeah, so that is the best way I could think of putting it. But again, hopefully with the demo, it starts to come together in your heads. Everything starts to make sense. You see how it works. Um, yeah.
So what are we
So
looking at right now?
yeah, so this is it's a sample project. It's called Asset Manager, and it manages your assets. It essentially allows you to upload content, download content, view thumbnails, look at metadata associated with when the content was uploaded. Um, but of course, it has some issues. The issues are that it's currently running Java 8. So wow, that's quite old. And let's say as a developer, it's on AWS and we want to migrate to Azure. So those are the two action items or the issues with this application when it comes to working with it on Azure. So it's I really like this project because I think it's a good example of a real life kind of enterprise project that's not like a hello world file. Um, but it has some moving parts and it has quite a few different, cloud services that need to be migrated, deployed, that need to be updated. So it's definitely has its intricacies and inner workings that uh, make it a bit more of a complicated application.
Okay.
So I already have the extension installed, GitHub Copilot app modernization. So in the teaser video, we got to see some of these things. So we have over here an assessment. So we can click on run assessment. This essentially, it really does mimic what a human does in the sense that it will look at the whole application. And I'll click on run assessment. Like it says, it can take it a few moments, depending on the project size. For me, it takes a few minutes. So we can continue chatting while it thinks. But yeah, it's
So
it's really cool because this is something that would take me at least several hours to look over and understand.
nice. Um, what would you say is like an aha moment that you had when you first used Copilot in agent mode?
I think an aha moment I had at that point was it's I think the expectation was that it would do 100% everything for me flawlessly. But the aha moment, kind of just like how I talked about right now, was it acts like a human. It will iterate, it will cycle through, it will make mistakes, it'll try to fix the mistake. Sometimes
Yeah.
it keeps making the same mistake. But again, it's yesterday I was at the DevRel Studios recording and Matt, one of my colleagues, one of the producers there, put it in a really good way. He said it's like having a really smart toddler. So that I think that was one of my aha moments in agent mode, that it's like a really smart toddler. So it's interesting to work with it because if it has the right context, the right direction, it's able to do quite well. But it can also start crawling the wrong way.
Yeah, I really loved how it iterates to fix its stuff. That's, I think, one of the most impressive things about it, So,
Yeah.
we have a question that popped up here. After looking into the code, does it recommend best practices, patterns, etc.? This is from Cloud Surfer 22.
Right, great question. So when we start getting into the upgrade, we'll start with the Java upgrade. Um, it's really nice because the application doesn't just do it, it takes us along for the ride. And it gives us opportunities to make adjustments. It tells us what it is doing, why it is doing it. So I wouldn't say it gives direct recommendations, but some of those best practices are built in. For example, if there's CVE issues or security issues, it brings them up to us. We're not living in the dark. So I would say to an extent, yes, best practices are shared, but um, because we aren't the ones actually, I guess, by hand upgrading or migrating, those best practices are more built into the application itself when it's working through the problem we've given it to run at.
All right.
All right, so it looks like our assessment report has finished. And I really love this UI. It makes it so easy to understand. Again, if you especially come from a non-developer background or you're just getting started, I think this is something that a high schooler or even like, there's some middle schoolers who are really good at coding these days. This is something that they could use. So we can see the issue summary. There's one Java upgrade issue, the big one, and then some cloud readiness issues. So here's our breakdown of the cloud readiness issues and our Java upgrade issue. So it says Java version upgrade. We are in a legacy version and we need to upgrade to 21. 19 would also work, but 21 is ideal. So we'll click on run task. And again, it's all built into Copilot chat. It's going to start working on upgrading the project. And it says, let me first examine the current project structure and configuration to understand the current Java version and setup. So again, it's doing everything that a human would do, just a little bit more efficiently, faster, quicker, uh, anything that anybody would want.
So, if you were not using this tool, I know you said would have taken you like much longer, but could you describe to us like the steps that you would have manually had to have done prior to this, so we could
Right.
appreciate what we're seeing?
Yeah, I think the steps would actually be very similar, like especially when upgrading a Java project from something as old as 8 to 21. It would be understanding the code, right? Understanding the functionality, right? Because the end of the day, the functionality is what needs to be kept, not the code structure entirely. So, oops, I'm just click allow here. It's just asking. Oh, here it is. So it's given us an upgrade plan. Okay, so we'll come back to this in a bit. Yeah. So, um, we would have to see what the project does. What are the end goals? What is it trying to get done? Understand the file structure, the project structure, look at if there's been any syntax changes or function changes that need to be upgraded. Um, Upgrading a Java version is kind of tedious because it looks similar on surface level, but it's the very small things that change that make it hard. And then even harder than that are, once you upgrade your Java version, then you have dependencies that need to be upgraded. If you don't upgrade them, they pose security risks. And I think that's one of the areas which ends up being the most trippy because you can upgrade your Java version and not upgrade some dependencies because, the backwards compatibility is usually pretty good. But it exposes security vulnerabilities on for your application. So I think that's a really big one. That takes time and is difficult to do.
Okay.
So yeah, we can see here that it generated an upgrade plan for us. It tells us what it saw, everything that it scanned, upgrade goals, upgrade to Java 21, additional tasks, run tests before and after the upgrade. Great. And then this is an execution plan. This is the steps that Copilot agent will follow to upgrade the project. And it uses tools like Open Rewrite, recipes to do it. So it takes the best of what's already out there in the world and just streamlines the process a little bit. And right here we can see step 4: repeatedly check for any other issues, CVE issues, code behavior changes, and fix them until the project builds successfully. And you can see repeatedly and until the project builds successfully. So it's just like a human developer to some extent. And
Nice.
then at the end, we'll get a summary. So it all looks good. If it doesn't look good to you, you can use the Copilot chat to tell it, hey, I actually want to avoid these files. Don't touch these. Or can you do this instead? Or actually, I want to upgrade to Java 19, not 21. So all of that power still exists in your hands. It's not like you're locked out entirely. It's a conversation. It's a back and forth. It's like having a team of developers that you are managing.
Nice. Okay. By the way, I noticed that you're using Claude Sonnet for the model. Have you noticed any difference for this type of work using with other models, like maybe GPT or?
Right. Great question. I found that Claude is really good at code. Um, Using like the GPT, Chat GPT models, when I use the Ask agent, I find that they do really well there. So that's my personal preference. I think even here, actually, though, they've recommended for best results, we strongly recommend Claude 3.7 or later. So I think that's the general sentiment, perhaps, that Claude is a little better at code reasoning and working on code. But I've also observed that as well. And then GPT is good at, it has a really good idea of like the whole picture of the world and everything going on and giving you direct to the point answers, the context that's needed to I guess be a bouncing board of ideas. So I will sometimes use like GPT models for like generating the spec, and then once I have the spec, I pass it into Claude to actually start looking into like technical details and implementation.
Has GPT seemed faster in its performance to you?
Ooh, um,
GPT-5 specifically.
oh well, 4 to 5, definitely. I wouldn't be able to say I've tried GPT-5 versus, like, Sonnet 4 yet. That's a good experiment.
Okay,
Um,
so you haven't tried 5 yet?
I have not tried that. No, I
Oh,
haven't.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so we can take a look at what's going on here. Again, it's really nice because it talks through everything that's happening. Like, we can see that it had errors setting up the development environment, but it worked through it. It fixed it. Now it's working on some pre-check issues, or not issues, but pre-check items. So it's building the project, validating CVE. So it's checking the project as it is first. Then it'll upgrade, right? If we give it a broken project to begin with, there isn't really much to fix if you already have issues there. So
Alright.
um, it looks like all of the pre-check passed. So we can see it's the development environment is now set up. Let me proceed with the initial code transformation using Open Rewrite. So again, like I mentioned, it uses Open Rewrite recipes to upgrade the code um, from Java 8 to Java 21, and Open Rewrite really does a great job of this. There's really no need to reinvent the wheel for everything. Um, so yeah, and we can see it chugging along. It can take a few minutes sometimes.
Maybe if there's another part of this, maybe you well, I don't wanna screw things up, like, I was gonna say maybe we could try to switch to GPT-5 and see because, like, I've noticed
Mm,
GPT-5 is, faster, but the uh, in terms of, like, if it works as well as, like, Claude, I haven't done detailed tests side by side to know if it's more accurate or not, so
yeah, I mean, I definitely know after this call, I'm gonna go and try GPT-5. It'll definitely be interesting.
I don't wanna be
Even
responsible if it blows up because we switched to GPT-5. It's like, "It was because of you! It was you all along that caused the destruction of this
I mean,
presentation."
they suggested Sonnet 3.7 or later, so now your question has me thinking, is there really that big of a difference? Which made them suggest it. So it'll be fun. And if it blows up, it blows up. We use Git, pull the old code back and good as new.
Well, I mean, I had to use a GPT, like, for testing, like, the development of a mobile app, and it was, like, much faster just putting
Mm,
it together versus when I was using Claude.
hmm.
Was it Claude I was using?
That's really interesting, and I'm glad you bring that up because I had to like I just build a landing page, and I essentially just use ChatGPT. I didn't even open VS Code or Copilot. I just told ChatGPT, "Can you generate this project for me?" It generated the project, and one take, it was amazing, good to go. Like very minimal errors or things that needed to be resolved. Um,
Yeah. It's really good at I mean, just the models in general for building web apps, that they're pretty good there. It gets a little bit more sophisticated when building, like, the mobile apps, though, like an iOS one.
right.
So, because there's more work involved behind the scenes for it and troubleshooting too.
Yeah, definitely. So we can check back in on how our upgrade's going. Uh,
Let me
so
ask
yeah, it
you
asked me a few times.
Yeah, could I ask you this? Like, so if someone's like new to this, what should they be aware of? Like, what steps in modernization journeys usually trips people up the most?
Their modernization journey using this tool or without the tool?
I mean, you could say both. I was thinking about like using this tool.
Okay. I would say when using this tool, the part that is trickiest is understanding what am I doing? And I know that's really vague and very generic, but you'll see that Copilot occasionally it'll ask for different permissions. Like it was like, should I continue to iterate? And and if you haven't seen that before, it'll be like, oh, are things going well? Is it working or should I stop? Or even now, like we can see the Jakarta imports are failing, and that's not a good word to see now, is it? Failing, like that's kind of scary. So it if you're someone who is just getting started with the tool, like the first time I used it, I sat here really diligently and I was just reading everything that was being put into the chat. Um and and it was an experience because it's doing everything that a real developer would do to some extent. So I had many questions and it was an emotional roller coaster to some extent. But what I started doing now is, I just let it run. And I come back, and if it needs some help, I give it some help. But usually once I come back, it's done with, the first step or the first stage, which might be like the summary, or when I come back the second time, it's done with the actual upgrade. So I've kind of learned, to not to micromanage it. I think that's a tendency when you're getting started, you want to micromanage it, but
Hmm.
I think the idea is to trust the process, that these AI systems are getting quite good at what they need to do with logical reasoning, and um, they can get the job done most of the time. Right? We can see now things are turning around. Good progress. We've resolved most of the CVE issues. So it's definitely working.
What does CVE stand for? Is that something with vulnerabilities or what?
Exactly, they're critical vulnerability issues. So they oftentimes have to do with like dependencies not being updated, or if you update the Java version and not the dependency, we can have some CVE issues arise. So there's security vulnerabilities um, which are typically ranked on like low, moderate, high. So you give and take. CVE issues are everywhere to some extent. Um, but again, the tool is designed to address as many of them as possible, and especially if there are any high vulnerabilities,
Hmm.
it'll bring and it cannot fix them automatically. It'll bring them to our attention, because our goal is not to just upgrade and deploy projects, but to
Make sure it's done
responsibly do
well.
it.
Yeah, you don't want to be wild, wild
Yeah.
and risky. So you know what I just realized? It's like while I was doing all this, sometimes you might be like looking at the information that it's saying that it's executing and have questions, and instead of having to open up another session like ChatGPT or another session of VS Code to ask Copilot questions, it would be nice to feel safe to be able to ask it questions while it's running. Because like
Mm.
right now, I wouldn't touch it, like because I'm like so paranoid something might go wrong if I try to like ask it something, you know. But it would be nice if we could do that concurrently without
Well,
having to
actually,
go
yeah,
outside.
we definitely can. Like, we can ask a question: "What are CVE issues
And
you
it's not going to
discovered?"
interrupt. I've never tried that before. This is at your own
Yes.
risk. I wasn't asking you to do it.
No, no,
This
no.
is my
This is great because I've
disclaimer.
definitely done this. So you can like just ask it to pause. You can interject at any time. So I asked, "What are CVE issues you discovered, and how are you resolving?" Oh, I forgot to
No,
put the
but
dash,
you
but
see, you paused it though, right?
mm,
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying because I want to, because sometimes something takes a while, and I want it to continue working, and I want it to continue working while I still could like maybe in ask mode ask it something without it interrupting it.
ah,
That's what I kind of wish, you know. Maybe I
Yeah,
could leave like some
so
feedback
I don't
afterwards.
think with that, like, there's no like multiple Copilot windows you can open in one VS Code window.
I know, I'm
Um,
saying that's what I
yeah,
wish.
yeah, no, that would be nice. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, so yeah, we can pause it and it'll tell us everything, and then we can tell it to, okay, you can con- continue with the upgrade. So yeah, that's where we're at now. But I think that would be a really cool feature. That's a nice wish list item.
Yeah, I just thought about it now, particularly for, you know, events that take a while also.
Yeah, you're right actually, because um sometimes I just have another window open where I'm using another chat and I'm just multitasking when this is going on. Um, yeah, and actually, I'll ask how much longer do we have for the stream, because perhaps that's what I'll start doing. I'll start multitasking a little bit. I have a version of the project that's been migrated and upgraded, and I can jump to that if you think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we have like another about 15 minutes. So
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so we'll let this continue working, or maybe it's almost done. Yeah, it's at the summarization stage. So we'll give it some, maybe a few more minutes, and then we can jump to the upgrade process, which in my opinion is one of the coolest parts of the tool. And because even when I just started working at Microsoft, even just last year, um, of course, AI tools and assistants, they all were there, and I would use them, but it was more like just the ask mode, right? I would ask it, how
yeah,
can I uh, deploy my Azure Container App Service to Azure? This is my application, and there was a lot of back and forth,
right.
but that's been like taken out now. So okay, so we can see that we have the summary. Let's see. So we can go to,
I mean, the ask mode is still there, but we have the ability to have this awesome agent mode, though.
exactly, and that just changes everything. It makes the world easier. So typically, we can actually see it as a markdown file. Okay, again, I won't spend too much time on this right now. It didn't pop up, but it does also print it out in the chat, so we can see what it successfully did, security improvements that it already fixed itself, and then a remaining security note, right? So this is something really important. This is something that Copilot's like, look at this, fix it, take a pause. This is where I need your intervention. Um,
Got it. Okay.
so yeah, again, it's great, and you saw like it did that in the matter of 15 minutes, I think. So now if we go back to our,
So right now, it's almost completed the upgrade process, with the exception of that one vulnerability it wants us to address.
exactly, yeah. So we can tell Copilot that we want to keep everything. Uh, we can open up our assessment report again.
And actually, I missed like what did we upgrade? Was it just the version of uh was it the version of Java? What was it that we actually upgraded? Or was it just the whole application we upgraded to like a new version?
Exactly. Yeah, so we upgraded from Java 8 to Java 21.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah. So again, I won't do it now just for the sake of time, but if we were to run this assessment report again, we would see that the Java upgrade issue would be gone. We'd be ready to go, and then we would be on the cloud readiness issues. And again, the process is very similar for all of these other uh, cloud readiness issues. We can see the suggestion. We can see, okay, it's saying to migrate our database, and then it gives us options. I could be like, oh, I want to actually move to the public cloud for PostgreSQL, and then you click on Run Task, and it chugs away. Really. So
Nice.
again, it's something where it still takes time, but it's, you don't have to be scratching your head or doing anything like that as much as you used to. So we
So
can
let
go.
me quick question. So from what you've learned about this, so far. If you could add one magical feature to this extension or VS Code,
Mm.
what would it be?
Perhaps if I could get a notification on my phone every time I'm using like Copilot agent mode, and Copilot agent could be like, "Hey, I'm stuck. This is where I'm stuck. Do you approve this change or should I do something else?"
That's cool. I think
Because I often find that I'm like running around the house or doing other things while Copilot is working, and I come back and I'm like, "Oh, for the last 20 minutes, nothing has been done because Copilot had a question."
I love that so much. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that would be on my wish list for sure. Yeah. Can you all see this other window? I have another VS. Actually, I don't think it's coming through. So hold up. I need to stop sharing.
What I saw was the assessment report.
Share again. Let's do this. Okay. And it might be a little small. So hopefully that's bigger. There. So again, we'll now that this application is now fully upgraded and migrated. Because again, for the sake of this demo, we don't have time to sit through all of the processes, and it's kind of like watching paint dry after some time. So we don't need to put you through all of that. So now, again, one of the most fun parts, we get to deploy it to Azure. So when you open up the tool, the Copilot app modernization tool, we see at the very bottom here, there's tasks. So these are some pre-built tasks that have been created for us. It's really cool because you can also create your own tasks. So I've created like a custom RabbitMQ to Azure migration, and some other tools which I think are useful. But again, some of them which are more common, like provisioning and deploying to Azure, are pre-built. So we have two options: deploy an existing Azure infrastructure to your deploy your application to existing Azure infrastructure, and then provision and deploy your application to Azure. So this is for brand new applications. So we'll go ahead and click on run task. And again, you can see it's working Copilot. It's using Copilot chat. It's using existing Azure CLI tools like AZD to do everything that needs to be done to deploy the project. So again, it's like a human, and it starts off by scanning the project. What does the project do? What are the different resources that need to be deployed?
Mhm.
And again, there's so many places where it could go wrong, especially if it doesn't understand the application correctly. It might provision the wrong resources. It's possible. So so what it does is it'll first generate an architecture diagram, and that's like Azure saying, this is not Azure, this is Copilot saying, this is what I understand about everything that you have currently um in your files, in your repository. And once we see that, we'll be like, okay, looks good, or does it look good? We need to update this and this. And
All right.
after that, it generates a deployment plan. And after the deployment plan, it executes on the deployment plan. So after a while, they all start to merge together. I've definitely come back and been like, okay, what am I doing again? um, but it definitely, AI hasn't gotten to the point where it's uh, doing things in a different way. It's still following the gold standard, which is the human way.
Um, sometimes I feel like it's been a while since I've heard about Spring Boot. Maybe it's because I'm like in a bubble. But do you often like work with Spring Boot? Is it still like huge and more popular than ever?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very prominent, especially in the Java world. It's something that we work with quite a bit, in my experience. I mean, I wouldn't say I've been around as a developer as long as some other colleagues I have. I'm fairly young. I'm new to this, but Spring has been around as long as I can remember, and it's a tool that I've used for forever in my lifetime at least. So yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
so we can see here it generated the architecture diagram, um, and again, at any point in time, you can tell it, "Hey, stop! You're crawling the wrong way." come back this way. Just point the right direction. But architecture diagram looks good. It's continuing to work. Um, and it created a progress report. And again, it'll just take us through the process. We can see now that it's using AZD to start deploying the application. So I'm going to pause it right there. We all don't need to sit through this in terms of deployment, but I will show you what the application looks like, because that personally,
Mm.
that's what gives me some of the most satisfaction is what did I actually do?
Yeah, the
What
final
did we
product.
deploy? So let me.
I saw Docker was mentioned, so you were using some containers in there?
Yes, definitely. Yes, it was deployed using containers, Azure Container App. So let me share again my Azure portal. Mhm. I'm just going to do entire screen. That might be easier. Right. So we can see this is my resource group. These are all the resources that were deployed. And I know it might be a little small, but for some reason, whenever I zoom in on Azure, it makes everything else bigger. And then this is like, so hopefully this works out. So you can see it deployed application insights, several app service instances, managed identity, log analytics, PostgreSQL, which was one of the things that needed to be um, migrated over from AWS to Azure, service bus, a storage account. So many things needed to be uh, created, configured, deployed. So we'll go ahead and open our application, and we have this asset manager. And I, I was just playing around with it. I told Copilot, I'm like, hey, can you make the UI look a little better? And this was its first iteration at doing that. So pretty
That's
good. You
not
can see
bad.
there's some issues, like the upload new is really faint. Like I didn't even know it was there until I accidentally hovered over it once.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
but
Yeah, I
I
see
think
this.
it did a great job of enhancing the UI. Before this, it was literally just like a text application.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can choose a file, I can upgrade. So this is something cool that, again, one of my friends over in the DevRel Studios created a cool graphic uh, cartoon of me. So we'll upload that to our site, to Azure. All right, and we can see successfully loaded. We get a nice thumbnail. We can view it, delete it. We see when it was uploaded, and it's all working. You know, it's all there. It's you know, I was beyond words when I reached this stage, because there's definitely hiccups, but it's hard to believe that I was able to go from literally one corner of the world to another corner of the world with my application in a matter of like a single day, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. I need to get the little sound effects box so that when moments like this comes up, we could have like an audience applaud. Da, 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 da,
Live
da.
studio audience.
Yeah, so this is great. All right. So then let me ask you for like new fans that you have after uh doing this demo. How can people like reach out to you? What's the best way?
Yeah, I'm it's very simple, at Ayan Gupta on LinkedIn, on pretty much any social media handle. You can reach out to me at Ayan Gupta. First name, last name, questions, feedback, issues. We want to hear them, because that's what helps us improve the product. Uh, your unique ideas, they definitely get heard. We love them. So that's a great place to start. And you can always submit feedback, of course, using the other official channels as well. Uh, but yes, please share any ideas you've got.
Perfect. Producer, you could take off the main screen now and just have us on there as I wrap up. It feels weird closing out with that app still there, just looking at us, staring at us, upstaging us. um, All right. So the last thing I wanted to ask you, like, what's next on the horizon for you? Are you continuing to work on newer versions of this extension, or is there something else that we should know about?
I mean, yeah, the extension is fairly new. It was released maybe a week or two ago at this point. So right now, the engineering teams on the back end, that's exactly what they're doing. They're listening to feedback from all of you who are customers, who are our tech enthusiasts, and implementing the feedback, fixing bugs, fixing issues, fixing the UI, or anything else really that isn't so user friendly yet. So I would say that's what's going on. Same thing happening in the .NET world. In .NET, it works on VS Code, not VS. Uh, blah, 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 sorry, it works on Visual Studio, not VS Code. But again, they're doing the same thing in the sense that they're listening to user feedback, they're fixing it, and hopefully, I at least I'm not aware yet what's the big move after this.
Hmm.
Maybe they will start to have more languages, or maybe AI will throw a curveball and it'll get so good where it's like, okay, you just give it the project and 20 minutes later it's all done. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, this was great. Thanks so much for giving us this demo. And definitely don't be a stranger when other big things happen. Please circle back so we can do another session like this.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. It was great to virtually meet you. And I hope that I can meet you all someday in person or continue seeing some of you virtually.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining. And don't forget, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. We'll have some of our social links pop up, like that one right there, youtube.com/code. And we're also on TikTok. So if you're on there, you could check that out also. And that should be it. Hope everybody has a great remainder of their week and upcoming weekend. Take care.